Morning or good day or good evening. It depends on what time you are watching this lecture. So, this will be our first topic for this semester in Politics and Governance of America. It is about the Native Americans and indigenous rights in America. So, as indicated or stated in our course information booklet, uh, I assigned you to read two particular readings or literature that involves or is involved in our topic for today. So, of course, we have Salisbury's The Indians' Old World, Native Americans and the Coming of Europeans, which talks about, of course, how the Native Americans or Indians were already established as a group of people who have their own government and politics as a community. However, of course, since the coming of Europeans was politically and socially, let's say, shocking for them, it has changed the whole narrative or landscape of America. And of course, that is evident or that is really seen on how the native and indigenous patterns of America changed over time. On the other hand, we have Derrico's Native Americans in America, a theoretical and historical overview. So, bale, Derrico's literature is just like a supporting or a very aligned reading with Salisbury's. Mas detailed lang itong kay Salisbury's, I would say, because it highlighted more of the European implication towards the Native Americans. Right, let's begin. Okay, so when you hear of Native Americans, you automatically assume or imagine seeing people with feathered bonnets, feathered hats, vests, o kaya they are known for their festivities and whatsoever. But if you are to really correlate the implications of the history of Native Americans in the status quo of America in the present, we should realize or we should always involve how native tribes are recognized as sovereign political entities, meaning these people or this community of people were the ones who really started or they are the first people to really have arrived or to have their own self-government in their own members and lands. And with that, it shows how there's semblance of ano, no, indigenous politics is really relevant to our subject. Besides that, if you were to really look at the U.S. Constitution and of course the Supreme Court rulings of the United States of America, you would see there a lot of cases or particular um, law-abiding situations that talks about the relevance of tribes, particularly when it comes to ownership of lands, uh, distinction of nations, because as you know, before America was colonized by Europe, it was or it wasn't called as United States, no? Meron yung mga separate or let's say distinctive um, states or distinctive territories in where of course it had different governance and politics. Okay, so besides that, Native Americans are also important when it comes to our definition of U.S. governance, no? So this means uh, native nations are central to federal and state politics. No? So even before the US Constitution was delivered or created by the founding fathers, meron ng ano no, meron ng implication talaga yung mga existing policies or laws that were constituted by the Native Americans. Right. So let's define further what are Native Americans. When you speak of Native Americans class, ano yan eh, kung i-analyze mo siya sa perspective ng different scholars or colonial historians, they would put or share different ideas or definitions of what is native and what is Native America or what is a Native American, right? But that's just based on what Salisbury and Derico wanted to, let's say, pronounce or to state. No? So, bullet one, Native Americans are technically Indians. No? Indians are the origin or beginning of American civilization. So, if you were to research the actual characteristics of Native Americans, they are actually brown colored or brown skinned, no? Kaya yung mga nakikita nating mga white Americans at present, they are believed to be, of course, the actual descendants or they are considered to be Europeans. Because to start with, ang mga Americans naman talaga or in the early civilization of America, they are brown colored. Okay? So for 13 to 13,500 years ago, Native Americans started living in America, right? So, colonial historians, pagka natusulat sila ng mga history about the perspective of the European colonizers, yung mga Native Americans appear only as secondary actors. No? Pag sinabi natin secondary actors, they are inferior to the European expansion or to the European colonizers. But come to think of it, syempre, sa perspektiba lang naman yan ng mga Europeans. Pero, if we are to talk about culture, society, and nationality, syempre, laging ang first important actor or syempre ang primary actor, it would be the Native Americans. And in this course of ours, of course, we view Native Americans as the primary actors of early America, right? So the indigenous peoples or these Native Americans were mainstreamed, no? As mentioned here, they are mainstreamed by colonial historians. This means yung mga indigenous people na to, uh, they are not mainstreamed on their own terms. Kumbaga marami ng mga European or Western historians who have already defined or already embodied what is a Native American based on their own terms. Okay? But again, yung definition or yung understanding ng mga European colonizers of what is a Native American is how they define or how they want to prescribe progress. Okay? Progress, settlements, and state building. Right? But this is different or not similar of how the Native Americans wanted to define progress, settlement, and state building. Because Native Americans were frequently generalized or homogenized into broad categories. Right? Kung papakinggan or maririnig mo yan sa mga European scholars or sa mga European colonizers, supporters, or believers, they would view Native Americans as quote-unquote savages. Ano pa ba? They are also quoted as noble Indians by, of course, some scholars who believe that Native Americans are the primary actors of early America, right? So, some institutionalists naman would believe that they are the wards or of the state or sinasabi nating sila yung tagapagbantay or sila yung guardians of the state. Besides that, the European colonizers embedded different cultures and system towards the Native Americans who were hunter-gatherers and builders for daily survival. So this is very evident with other indigenous groups as well, no? Like in here in the Philippines, no, yung mga tinatawag nating mga Tagbanwa, yung mga Tibulis, no, yung mga Badjao, they are considered to be hunter-gatherers and builders as well. So back in early Americas when it wasn't yet colonized by Europe, no, there were a complex or a mix of cultures and systems that were already existing in America. It wasn't just clear how they coexist or paano nagkaroon ng intersectionality with the cultures and system back in America. Kasi ang madalas na klaro sa atin when we read literature or particular articles about Native Americans, is how the United States is already established, or kung paano na ba nagkaroon ng unification between the states of all existent in America, right? But one thing is for sure, the Native Americans, before the European colonizers entered their actual territory, they already had this established way of having their economic transactions through trade, or kung hindi pa trade yung term nila back then, but nagkakaroon na sila ng mga barters na tinatawag. Okay? Next. So, the existence of Native Americans as peoples or self-governing groups rather than simply as individuals sharing personal and cultural traits. Okay, so kung kanina na bisita natin how the Native Americans have their own established indigenous practices or systems already. But what we should also take note of or give highlight of is how their self-governance as groups of peoples of Native Americans were already established by their actual community leaders. Okay? Because by streamlining indigenous peoples in terms of governance and politics, we would actually be able to compare it on how it evolved through time. No? Kung paano ba naging neoliberal Western perspective ang Amerika in its status quo compared to its indigenous self-governing politics and governance back then. Of course, realistically, it is far from each other. No? Pero kung titignan natin yung distinctive characteristics or traits ng US politics and governance in the present at nag-a-adapt sila ng Republican approach with its independent states at present, is we would see how somehow similar it could be to how the Native Americans tribe on their own. Because again, back then when they weren't colonized by Europe yet, marami ng mga communities, tribes, not only Native Americans, but different ones, were already functioning on their own. Right? So we could also compare it how the states in America, the multiple states of America, co-govern or exist and survive on their own government. Right? Okay, so again, let's now go to the discussion of minorities and peoples. Okay, when you speak of minorities and peoples, it is very broad, or they are broad on their own scope and definition. So as you can see on this slide, when you speak of minority, a minority is conventionally defined as a group whose shared cultural and personal characteristics distinguish them from the rest of the population. Meaning, pagka minority, syempre, sila yung konti, sila yung may disadvantage over a certain society or community or state. Bakit? Kasi syempre, the state usually prioritizes the majority, or sa case ng Amerika, the whites or the white Americans. But come to think of it realistically, legally speaking, economically speaking, the Native Americans that exist or thrive in America, they don't get as much prioritization or opportunities as compared to the majority groups of white Americans. No? So, this particular minorities na tinatawag natin, and if we were to be particular, the Native Americans, they are outnumbered. No? They are discriminated. Because again, marami pa rin mga white supremacists or white believers that they see the white people as the beacon or the actual indicators of progress in America, and no longer these Native Americans. Right? Okay, second bullet. This is very important for you to understand. So the term Native American or American Indian are not strictly racial categories. Okay? So why is that? According to UCLA, being a member of a tribal nation provides a membership status. Take note, a membership status. Right? So, further defining that, sa United States kasi, pag sinabi nating American Indian, it is a political classification. Not only racial, but rather a political classification. Pag sinilip or binisot ninyo yung US Constitution, federally recognized tribes are part of the sovereign nations. Okay? And yung tinatawag natin na individual membership, it is only determined by tribal governments. Okay, take note, tribal governments that exist in different states of America. Hindi lang siya appearance or ancestry. Take note ha, ang pagiging American Indian, hindi lang siya based kung isa kang brown or isang Indian-looking individual. But rather, meron siyang legal implication from the actual validation coming from the tribal governments. Right? So, the US Supreme Court, okay, explicitly held that Indian is a political, not racial classification. So that's according to the US Supreme Court. But if you are to ask a particular Native American or even just a local, they would say that being an American Indian is also racial. But the thing is, yung Supreme Court indications or bylaws, they value the idea or the correspondence of being an American Indian as more of political, and it denies the existence of being racial. Bakit ba siya kinoconsider as a political classification? Because it is tied to tribal citizenship nga, na mention natin kanina. So yung tribal citizenship na yun, it's only given by the tribal governments. So yung mga tribal governments natin, class, they exist in different groups and institutions. So in America, mga established groups na yan. Meron tayong tinatawag na American Indian Association, na tinatawag nating AIA. Meron naman tayong Native Brown Association or NBA. Iba yan sa Basketball Association. Sa joke. Anyway, so this particular indigenous or Native American groups, sila yung nagbibigay ng legalities on how you can be considered as American Indian. At meron yung implication when it comes to voting behavior and decision. Kasi every election in America, merong mga separate or merong mga unique voting precincts and systems para sa mga Native Americans. Because again, constitutionally speaking, parte ng sovereign state ang mga Native Americans. And with that, they also have the right to participate in political affairs. Okay, next to that, being a Native Americans or being a Native American also defend on tribal enrollment. Na-mention ko kanina yung existence ng mga tribal governments, right? Like the Native American Association or institution. So they are based on descent, community ties, and criteria that are set by different tribes. Okay? So, wag tayong magbe-base lang na porket brown skin siya is automatically isa na siyang Native American. Kasi that could be offensive or sabihin nating ano ba? It's not really pleasant to assume someone's national identity based on his or her color. Alright. So here's a good question. So why are Native Americans considered as minorities even though they are the root of American civilization? If you go back to this term, the root of American civilization, this is a very controversial take. Kasi if you are to ask a particular European scholar or a particular colonial scholar, he or she would say na hindi naman Native Americans talaga ang root of American civilization. Because they would say that America only developed when the European colonizers entered the territory of Americas. But again, if we were to remove all those egos that are pertinent to our European colonizers and scholars, and being realistic and being human, we would acknowledge that, of course, Native Americans are the roots or the sources of American civilization. Because again, ano ba, it's very easy to it's very easy to explain because they are the first people. They are the first people to migrate to America, no? Sila yung unang pumunta, sila yung unang nag-start ng mga economic, social, and political practices. And with that, they took care of the environment, they took care of the ascents of the lands that were there in America in the early period. Okay? Alright, so as you can see in this picture, it shows different characteristics, headwears, ano pa ba, technology, and of course, distinct characteristics that are manifested within Native Americans. In this first picture, you can see a guy or considered to be a tribal leader in America or in Native America, in where he is wearing a feathered war bonnet. So, if I were to ask you kung ano ba talaga yung point bakit sila nagsosuot ng feathered war bonnet, is because it has something to do with their glory. Huh? Because yung feathered war bonnet na tinatawag natin, it shows power and authority. Right? So pagka mas marami siyang na-hunt, mas marami siyang na-provide in terms of food for his family and community, or sabihin natin, marami siyang nahanap na lands that are used for cultivation and agriculture ng community nila. So that is considered to be a form of glory for the Native Americans. Second picture, so it shows a woman or a Native American woman that is wearing just a plain tribal hat or headwear. So, itong headwear ng Native American woman na to, it shows her role or important role as a woman for the Native American community. So, ano ba yung mga particular contributions ng Native American woman or mother towards her community? So, usually what they do is, of course, they cook. They also handle agriculture. So, sila yung nagre-retrieve ng mga kinukultivate nilang mga vegetables or fruits for the community. And also, they take care of the young ones or the young American natives. Next would be another tribal leader who is also wearing a feathered war bonnet. So similar to the first picture, parehas sila nakasuot ng feathered war bonnet, but the only distinction between the two is itong nasa third picture is mas konti or shorter yung meron siyang feather sa ulo. So that means na itong nasa first picture, since marami siyang feather, mas marami siya na-contribute dun sa Native American community. And lastly, here's a picture of another Native American woman. So itong hairstyle na to was actually more on the, sabihin nating, further generation of Native Americans na. So familiar yung picture na yan, nakikita niyo yan sa sa Star Wars. Pangalan ng babae na yun, si Princess Leia. Di ba ganyan yung buhok niya? So they actually got inspired by this Native American hairstyle in this picture. So Native Americans, in terms of transportation or logistics, they actually used horses, no? Of course, pagka gumamit sila ng horses, wala pa namang sasakyan noon or technology, they would use this to uh, bring their hunted animals to, of course, send it to their loved ones or their Native American communities. Again, na-mention natin yung feathered war bonnet earlier. So yung mga feathered war bonnet na to, as mentioned, it symbolizes power and authority na reserved talaga siya for respected Native American men who serve or provide the needs of his community. So yung mga eagle feathers na to are given to individuals nga or men to acknowledge or commemorate yung mga significant accomplishment nila that must be earned. Right? So, mas maraming feather, mas accomplished or successful Native American man ka back then. So, another culture or practice that was evident by the Native Americans. So, mahilig silang mag-bread making. Right? So, yung mga bread, pakita ko sa inyo sa next slide. So, ito yung bread making practice or culture na ginagawa nila sa Native America period. So they use this particular clay pot or clay oven and where they cook their own bread, right? So kung i-relate natin yan dito sa Philippines, parang yan yung tinatawag natin na pugon, no? Na better daw yung quality of bread that it cooks kasi ano siya, organic or natural type of material, right? Besides that, uh, dito sa fourth picture na pinakita ko sa inyo, itong mga hairstyles na to, meron niyang sinisimbolize din na ano, no? Parang sabihin natin differences or it distinguishes kung aling American tribe ka na bibilong back then. Right? So, itong mga na-share ko sa inyo ng mga practices, culture, and of course, economic um, conditions that were done by the Native Americans, it really embodies how the Native Americans really were strategic in terms of survival. Okay? And also, it shows how established they are in terms of their own governance and political control over their communities. Okay? Right. Let's now go to the other component of our discussion. So these are the European colonizers. Okay, so when you hear of European colonizers, in relation to our discussion in politics and governance of selected European countries, which we will also involve this particular topic. So maririnig yung madalas is yung mga expeditioners or yung mga tinatawag nating mga voyagers, no? So diyan pumapasok sila Magellan, which is of course very relatable for the Philippines. We have Vasco da Gama, who is a very good navigator. We also have Christopher Columbus, who is considered to be quote unquote the one who discovered daw the America when in fact may nakatira ng mga Native Americans doon before they went there, no? Right, so let's now define what are European colonizers. Alright, so yung term or idea of Indians is actually embedded, no? Doon sa pinaka perception ni Christopher Columbus. So when Christopher Columbus and his men of voyagers and navigators entered the territory of America, it was said to be like an abandoned, at the same time, a very underdeveloped land. It is a very large or wide land, according to Christopher Columbus. So Christopher Columbus pala, by the way, is an Italian explorer. He is known to have, of course, his conquest was to really find and discover different lands besides the European territory because he wanted to explore the Atlantic Ocean. Okay? So yung mga expedition na ginawa niya began in the transatlantic colonization period. Okay? So yung transatlantic or exploration period na nangyari in Europe, it really inspired other colonizers and other navigators and voyagers to also explore the vast lands of the Atlantic. So, nagkaroon ng malaking influence yung expedition ni Christopher Columbus on how European countries also wanted to expand their lands. Kaya nga yung mga lands in Africa, they were also colonized by Christopher Columbus and other voyagers. Right? So, Columbus wanted to find, ito yung pinakamahalagang reason why he colonized America. He wanted to find a new route to India, China, Japan, and the Spice Islands. As according to the Royal Museums of Greenwich, no? So, itong mga particular countries na to that you can see, India, China, Japan, and the Spice Islands, they were considered to be the dominating economic trade areas back then. All right? So, Christopher Columbus wanted to discover a new way, a new route, and where it could be easier for Europeans to trade with these particular countries. Of course, if we were to be particular about the countries involved, they also had a different take about how they wanted to do transactions with Europe, right? But again, that's another opportunity for discussion, right? All right. So the concept of the new world. So when you speak of the new world, ito yung parang na ginaglorify na concept ni Christopher Columbus. Paano ginaglorify na concept? Pag sinabi natin new world, he wanted to elaborate that every land or every underdeveloped land that he discovers transforms into the new world. Meaning, magiging mundo ito na magkakaroon ng development, new influence in religion, practices, culture, economic transactions, and whatsoever. But again, class, what we should remember is that this is a very Western-centric concept that is only favorable on their end and mostly harmful for those colonized. We don't want to really glorify or to romanticize the idea of colonization because that is of course a very foul thing to do. Because pag sinabi natin colonization, maraming or merong widespread na violence involved with it. Of course, pagka colonize mo ang isang land, ang isang group of people, it is forced. Wala namang lupa, wala namang grupo ng tao na gustong mapalitan yung kultura, relihiyon, practices nila. Just because some kind of quote-unquote superior race inserts themselves within your territory. Right? So, the New World, again, is a very Western ideology-centric type of concept, which is, of course, very similar to the pride or the ego of Columbus. His adventure and daring has set sail into the uncharted waters of America. His great mistake, kasi nga, nung nag-explore si Christopher Columbus and his men, actually, kinoconsider na accidental yung pagkakadiskubre sa Amerika. No? Because instead of him going far north, he parang had a mistake of navigating into a different area, right? In which he saw the vast land of America. Okay, so the main reason also for Columbus, of course, dominating or colonizing the lands of America is his actual lust for gold. And of course, besides gold, and where of course he wanted to give it to the king and the leaders of Spain, or Italy rather, and Spain back then, his passion for the spread of Christianity was evident. Or isa tong parang mga ano niya, no? Aparte ng mga romansa or romance niya as an expeditioner. Right? The idea of Christianity for Columbus is very pleasant. He believed that if countries, if people would abide to the words of God, to the Roman Catholic or the Christian Bible, is that of course, people would be saved. Okay? So, ganyan yung interpretation niya ng Christianity. And that goes the same way with Magellan, no? When the Filipinos or the early indigenous Filipinos were colonized by Spain, they were easily or early baptized by Magellan and his troops. And of course, the Roman Catholic Church. Right? So the colonization of America, quote unquote, was an integral part of the creation of Europe. Why? Because when Europe started, or when it was thriving as a nation, as a country, economically or politically speaking, kasi nga yung mga expeditioners or mga voyagers are already spread out or widespread within the Indian Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. They were also extracting a lot of natural resources and even sabi natin, man-made resources din from the lands or the indigenous groups that they are colonizing. Right? So here's a picture of Christopher Columbus and his men during the actual discovery of the lands of America. Dala nila yung particular flag na yan that symbolizes, of course, God and country and gold. So, yun yung 3 G's that we call off. Alright, so as you can see in this picture, this really shows, or this incorporates how the European expeditioners, navigators, and colonizers viewed the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean as a whole. Geographically speaking, ganito pa yung interpretation nila ng mapa back then. Right? So, of course, wala pa dyan yung actual labeling of where is America, asan yung Europe or whatsoever. But ito yung nakita nilang parang naging strategic interpretation nila ng mapa on how they would explore the vast oceans of Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. Okay? Alright, so the implications in the Americas. So, before European colonization, na-mention natin to kanina, nagkaroon naman na talaga ng indigenous demarcation yung mga Native Americans. So, yung mga indigenous North Americans exhibited a remarkable range of languages, livelihoods, economies, political systems, beliefs, and material cultures. But what you should take note is that yung mga North Americans or North Native Americans, sila yung pinakaunang na target nila Christopher Columbus or ng Europe during the colonization. Because yung North America, it was most accessible for the actual ships that they had. No? Kasi maraming ships na nilapag or ano bang term? Parang dinaong yung mga grupo nila Christopher Columbus when they visited the lands of America. So yung complexity or yung existence ng mga languages, livelihoods, economies, political beliefs, and material cultures that existed in North America during the Native American period, Christopher Columbus wanted to format or change all of them. Right? So, in relation to that, na-mention ko kanina, that colonization takes a lot of force and violence. So a lot of Native Americans, they didn't see, or majority of them, they didn't see the intervention or the territorial intervention of the Europeans as something positive. But again, given that the Europeans or the group of Columbus were equipped with different weapons, with different technologies to have these indigenous people or Native Americans follow or become force, they were outnumbered, right? So what happened is that Indians were forced to inhabit their original economic, political, and social identity to comply dun sa tinatawag natin kanina na New World. Okay? So if we were to talk about the New World, it talks about the actual tangible land. Pero merong actual concept or social and psychological concept na tinatawag na Western development. Ito namang Western development na to in relation to the New World is technically a whitewashing or a Western washing type of concept towards the Native Americans. Kumbaga, finid sa kanila to or finid to sa mga Native Americans to really forget or to erase yung mga meron silang Native American practices and cultures. Okay? Okay, let's now go to this very important distinctions about the differences between the following using the indigenous people lens. Again, I'm using indigenous people lens because we are currently in the Native American topic, no? Pero if you were to define these three components or these three concepts based on the US Constitution through the US Supreme Court, they would have defined these three differently. Okay? Pero gamitin lang natin yung lens ng indigenous politics or indigenous people lens. So we have here number one, self-determination. Number two, self-government. And number three, sovereignty. So pag sinabi nating self-determination, you would usually hear or you would usually attribute identity, culture, color, race, and etc. So any component, any entity that would define you or set your identity as an individual or group versus self-government. So pag sinabi naman nating self-government is we are talking about how a particular group of indigenous people are able to govern themselves on their own. Okay? So, syempre, it's a collective governance pa rin. So, ang question dyan is what is the extent of reliance? Right? So, pag sinabi natin self or extent of reliance is ano ba yung mga other actors, ano ba yung mga other individuals na pwede ninyong asahan when it comes to decision making. Right? And lastly, we have here sovereignty. So you have already understood what is sovereignty in the Philippine politics realm. But when it comes to the indigenous people lens, pag sinabi natin sovereignty, it's having that capacity as an indigenous group to decide on your own. No? Decide on your own when it comes to policies, when it comes to practices, when it comes to norms, and whatsoever. Without the intervention of other existing government. Right? So let's elaborately define these three concepts. Okay, so number one, let's start with self-determination. So pag sinabi natin self-determination, as mentioned earlier, these are assertions that self-determination is the fulcrum of Native American politics. So bakit siya considered to be the fulcrum? Kasi class, pag sinabi natin fulcrum, it is the center of attention. It is the most important component. So pagka Native American politics, it is very important for these people or group of people that they actually define who they are and what they are in the land of America, right? So they don't want to be controlled on how they will practice, how they will, um, let's say, have their own distinctive governance structure and whatsoever. So that used to be the way before the European colonizers entered the lands of America. So nagkaroon lang ng actual erosion of self-determination when the European colonizers entered. So this is a very important consideration for Native Americans because self-determination itself also transmits to power. And when there is power, of course, there can be control, right? So if I were to be realistic about how the Native Americans were before the European colonizers, I would believe, even based on the articles or the studies of other American studies scholars, is that the Native Americans already had a very fruitful and effective government of their own, a very proactive government and community of their own. Yung mga nakita nyo kanina sa picture ng mga tribal leaders or mga men wearing the feathered bonnet, so they are considered to be the leaders of their tribes or Native Americans back then. And they have this existing set of practices na that really benefited or aligned with everyone within the Native American community. So second, Native Americans have a diminutive of sovereignty, which is not self-determination but dependence. Okay, so pag sinabi nating diminutive sovereignty, is that we're not directly talking about culture, we're not talking about identity or color yet. But it's more of that existing dependence between the locals of the Native American communities. Pag sinabi natin dependence, it falls more on their roles as individuals within the Native American communities. So na-mention ko kanina yung mga tribal leaders, they were in charge of hunting, gathering, no? And even battling yung mga colonizers back then. On the other hand, the women would of course take care of the children, they are in charge of cultivating the agriculture resources that they have. And also, of course, very important is they are in charge also for thinking on some of the household decisions that shall be delivered for the community. Right. So number three, the political identity of Native Americans is not properly practiced due to state restrictions and constitutional limits. So ito naman class, we are talking about the status quo or the contemporary status of America in relation to the Native Americans. So ang problema kasi in the present, if you were to visit the US Constitution, they are not so much of considering or considerate of the rights of Native Americans. And I could actually compare that with the with the written the written constitution of Canada. Sa Canada naman, they are very ano no they're very considering and protective of the rights of their indigenous people. So sa case ng Native Americans at present, there are a lot of lack or there is a huge lack of opportunities when it comes to Native Americans, right? Even though meron naman na silang equal rights in terms of political participation or suffrage. Pero pagdating sa mga taxes, pagdating sa mga sabihin nating land ownership, dyan sila nagkakaroon ng problema dito sa United States. Kaya marami pa rin mga Native Americans who are involved in activism because they haven't really given up on the rights of Native Americans. And the thing is, konti na lang ang mga Native Americans in the US at present. Right, next concept is the self-government. So when you speak of self-government, it's to establish an independent governing Native American tribes. Because as mentioned earlier, maraming types or names of tribes that are existing during the pre-colonial period in America. So yung mga tribes na to, they have what we call the tribal council. Okay? So yung mga tribal council na tinatawag, so sila yung parang own or independent government of the tribes in America. So yung mga tribal council, they are actually supported by the US government, no? So kalat sila or disseminated sila spreadly in America. So yung mga tribal council, they have their own different set of rules, requirement or criteria for qualifications ng pagiging isang American Indian na na-mention natin kanina because again, it's more of political rather than racial. Okay? The problem is, the mga tribal council that they have at present in America, so take note, existing pa rin yung mga tribal councils ha. So, yung mga tribal councils na yan, they are limited in terms of function. Paano? Paanong limited? No? So, as compared to the actual state governments of the different states in America, to mga tribal council na to, they don't get to sort of really, sabihin natin, interact or have an access towards the locals of the certain state. At the same time, since limited nga lang or minority nga lang ang mga tribes at the same time mga indigenous peoples of America, hindi sila masyadong pinaprioritize in terms of state funding. Because the mga tribal council na to are still part of government budgeting or subsidy. Right? Next, so not all Native American peoples formally adopted the council system, but its major features become the typical form of tribal self-government. Right. So take note, hindi naman lahat ng tribes in America, as mentioned, have their own tribal council. Hindi naman kasi lahat are well-established. Nagkakanya-kanya pa rin yan in terms of number of members, number of groups that are involved within that particular tribe. Okay? Next, sovereignty, the last one. So no doubt, the Indian tribes were at one time sovereign, and even now, the tribes are sometimes described as being sovereign. So there is a huge debate between are Native Americans or are Indian tribes really sovereign or do they have their own manipulation or control of power over their groups? Or are they already controlled by the state government or the US government? Because again, if you are to look at self-determination, self-government, sovereignty, it can be actually defined or practiced differently in the state and national level and in the tribal level. Okay? The thing is, yung mga ibang tribes in America, in the present, they like the intervention of state governments and the US government. Because they think they would get better opportunities, they would get the same economic openings if they involve themselves in the state government relations. But some of those tribes in America or Indian tribes, they don't want to be controlled or to be dominated by the state and US government because they believe this comes in with a favor. And that is to, or for them to surrender their self-determination, self-government, and sovereignty to the state and national leaders. And with that said, that is consequential of them losing their own original identity as tribes or native tribes of America. So an Indian tribe is sovereign to the extent that the United States permits it to be sovereign. Take note, no? So there is again a reality that the United States of America, particularly with its three branches of government, still is the one who really defines sovereignty for this Indian tribe and not the Indian tribes themselves anymore. So ito yung sinasabi natin kanina na limited in function tong mga tribal council na to. Okay? So lastly, United States has plenary power or sinasabi nating absolute to act as trustee for tribal wards. Pag sinabi nating plenary power is that parang merong bilateral relationship between the United States and the tribal council. So parang meron silang reciprocal trust with each other. But again, we cannot really trust the US government on this part. Because again, we're not really sure lalo sa may role ni Trump as the president of the US if he really wants to protect the tribal culture or these tribal councils that exist in the present day. And I doubt that because Trump himself is not really more of a socio-cultural type of person or hindi siya ganun nag-give importance dun sa mga parang social and cultural aspects of the country. Okay, let's now go to the actual struggles of Native Americans. Because again, I want you guys to understand kung ano ba yung mga particular cases that are, of course, experienced by the Native Americans. Right? Okay, so the late 20th century, Native America presents the same conflicts as the late 18th century. So, what do we mean by this? So, in the late 20th century kasi class, nagkaroon ng maraming land territorial disputes between the Native Americans or the Native Indians in America versus the Supreme Court of the United States. So, pagdating sa land ownership kasi, to be frank with you, most of the time, mahina kasi ang hold or mahina kasi ang proof of ownership ng mga Native Americans. Bakit? Kasi it goes back to the fact na ano ba ang hinihingi ng mga nasa US government when it comes to the support or the proof of you owning that land. Siyempre, kailangan mo ng land title. No? Kung hindi land title, at least kailangan mo ng land ownership certificate from the early US government. But the thing is, I don't know, no? This is a very 50-50 and debatable case kasi may mga Native American families kasi or groups that claim to be that they own this particular land in this particular state. But again, if the Supreme Court would to ask them kung ano ba yung basis, ano ba yung means of you owning this land. Kasi you claim that your family, your ancestry owns this land, is na nagkakaroon ng weakness yung mga Native Americans. Kasi they don't or they can't really present a certain document or a legal document that would state na sa kanila yung lupa. Because back then, nung ano pa, no? Nung period naman ng period naman ng uh, pre uh, pre what do you call this? Pre-George Washington governance, hindi pa naman ganun ka-implemented tong mga land ownership documents na to. So the struggle for the Native Americans is that how they would defend their ownership over the land. Ang pwede nilang mapakita yung mga pictures or sabihin natin yung mga particular materials that used to be established on that particular land. But again, talo pa rin sila. Right? Besides land ownership, meron din silang meron din silang issue when it comes to hunting and fishing because yung hunting and fishing, as you know, it is a very territorial aspect din when it comes to the US government. Kung dati, yung mga Native Americans, they would just hunt for food like deers, like wolves, or mga chickens, or kahit nga mga eagles, hinahunt nila. They could do that anywhere within the within the territory of America. But again, the land of the America, it's already legally evolving, meaning it is owned by the US government in most public areas, public territories. So syempre, yung mga Native Americans, they don't adopt to this or they don't respond to this positively. Because yung iba nandun pa rin sila sa may hunter-gatherer mentality nila. In which again, I understand din sa may part naman ng ng US government na again, kailangan nag-evolve or nag-adopt din tayo with with the circumstances of the US Constitution. But again, the Native Americans, they still believe na dapat meron pa rin silang self-determination, self-government, and sovereignty of their own. And that, of course, that belief really conflicts with the actual notion of the US government. Na gusto nilang sila yung masusunod in the national level. Next would be the religious freedom. So back then, ang mga Native Americans, they were pagans, no? So they would ano ba? They would believe that the stone or the land, water, they manifest this sort of power. They manifest this sort of sabihin natin, spiritual entity na kaya nila inaalagaan yung environment is that if they take care of it, this would also bring them blessings. Most of the time, pagkain, o kaya resources, and whatsoever. But the thing is, now that America, it has transitioned into that um, sabihin natin diversifying number of religious groups like the Protestants, Roman Catholics, the Christians. Yung US government itself is also sabihin natin insecure on how the Native Americans would still be able to maintain their pagan mentality and religion. Pero in my own opinion, I think if as long as there is no one being harmed, violated physically or socially, I think the Native Americans could just really do or practice paganism on their own, no? I mean, religion itself shouldn't be forced into someone or into any group, perhaps. And lastly, criminal and civil jurisdiction. So ito, nangyayari to most of the time sa state of Texas. Nangyayari din yan sa Ohio, sa Missouri. So yun yung mga mga states that are very known for the number or group of Native American population. So when it comes to criminal and civil jurisdiction, there is a huge conflict between Native Americans and the US Constitution or the US government. Because when it comes to Native American laws and policies, may mga acts or may mga behaviors kasi sila that are illegal to the US Constitution but are legal to the community of the Native Americans. So marami naman ding indications or bylaws ang US Constitution that are legal to them but are harmful for the Native Americans. Kaya nga nasabi natin kanina yung sa may hunting, fishing, and the land rights. No? So, the question is, how do they meet halfway? So, paano ba mag-meet halfway ang mga Native Americans and the US government? So, my answer to this is, I don't really know. Sorry for that. So, I guess it's a matter of it's a matter of compromise. But again, let's be realistic. Compromise can only do a minimal thing. It's an extent of how do the compromise will survive, or how will it be a long-term thing for both the US government and the Native Americans. Okay? Next, so these conflicts that are typical of relations between indigenous peoples and the colonizers on the American continent as a whole, beginning more than 5 centuries ago. So even though we have already evolved into a neoliberal Western America, we can't really disregard the fact that indigenous peoples are still a huge group of people that should be taken care or prioritized by the US government. Kasi itong mga actual conflicts or tension that happened and still happens between the Native Americans and the US government, I think it will just continue on the next centuries or periods of life in America. And there wouldn't be any resolution or any development at all, or a fixture of dilemma between the two, if there will be no concrete solution how to fix this indigenous and government related dilemmas. Okay? So here's a good question. So why are there repeated attempts to make Native Americans disappear in America? Sige, let's answer this in a perspective ng isang Republican from Texas, or a Republican that came from the state of sabihin natin New York. Bakit ba ayaw ko sa isang Native American, and ano ba yung mga factors or yung mga considerations why they harm the American economy and society? So number one, it has something to do with the fact that America is continuously globalizing, westernizing, no? Neoliberalizing, whatever the concept or idea of development there might be. So the thing is, itong mga minority natin na Native Americans, they are a culprit to development. So that is the belief of a Republican, or that is a belief of a certain individual who believes that development associates removing the indigenous groups. Second factor, it has something to do with the fact that when it comes to economic budgeting or the national budget allocation, is that the particular council or the tribal council that we have mentioned of earlier are funded by the US government through the US government treasury. So yung mga binibigay na pondo when it comes to projects, programs, equipment, technology, and whatsoever, it is being splitted with these tribal councils, which is again, quote unquote, harmful for the economy and the national budget of America. Because instead of just focusing on infrastructure, developing or evolving the rural communities of America into an urban one, is dito napupunta or nahati sa mga tribal councils na to and other prioritizations in relation to indigenous people. Kaya nga itong si Donald Trump, he's ano no, may controversy na he isn't really so much of caring with the indigenous peoples of America. Because he believes that the white people are the ones who are, of course, deserving of the economic opportunities embedded by the tax of the people. Right? Okay, third consideration. So this third consideration is a very sabihin nating important one because meron siyang manifestation sa social and psychological belief ng mga Americans. It has something to do with denial and racism. Why denial and racism? Let's start first with denial. A lot of white supremacists or sabihin nating white biased Americans, they don't really want to admit that the first people who came or established America as it is are the Native Americans. They want to believe that it's the European colonizers through Christopher Columbus. Because these white people believe that itong mga European colonizers na to are what brought religion, culture, etiquette, economic practices towards America, which changed the weak system it had before during the pre and mid American Native period or Native American period. So that is denial, ano? So racism is number two. So racism because it has something to do with color, no? A lot of white American scholars, they actually they term Native Americans as savages, unfortunately. If you do your research on that, ang daming foul labelings na ginagawa pagdating sa mga Native Americans. So racism. So from the color of the Native Americans as brown, it is considered to be a very offensive or a very sige, let's admit it, a disgusting perception that lies within the white Americans, right? And besides that, these Native Americans, they are believed to be just like parang lang sila. They transferred from one land to another, and of course they have set in America to find survival. So it's like a common belief like in the Philippines na yung mga taong tabon, they settled here and they have evolved and whatsoever. So similar to America, maraming mga scholars who are in denial of that fact, believe it or not. Kahit meron anthropological and biological evidences that show or indicate that particular event in American history. Okay? So, these three factors that I mentioned to you guys about the reasons why is there an attempt to remove or to disappear Native Americans in America, hindi lang naman limited yan doon, no? May mga state leaders or mga Republicans din that don't disclose so much about why they don't like the Native Americans. But again, in my own perspective, I think Native Americans should be taken care of kasi sila talaga ang naging fulcrum or sila yung naging root of American civilization. Okay, so let's now go to this particular case that happened in America years ago, right? So based on the reading, uh, you would have read about the Western Shoshone or Shoshone territory. So this is the particular territory. Western Shoshone ancestral lands that covers Nevada, Idaho, California, Arizona, Utah, and Wyoming. Okay, so yung particular land na yan, if you are to do your research about it. It is actually an ancestral land by a particular Native American tribe. Okay? So, itong Western Shoshone territory na to, or Western Shoshone land, at present, it has been exposed to a lot of unhealthy processes and systems. So, katulad niyan, yung nuclear waste storage, open pit cyanide, heap leach gold mining, and other industrial activities. So, kung makikita mo yung pinaka-picture ng Western Shoshone territory, it is actually degrading. Meaning, marami na siyang mga nuclear waste that really destroys the habitat, the plants, the trees that surround within this territory. But the thing is, as mentioned earlier, these lands this land particularly were owned by a particular Native American tribe and family. So dito pumapasok yung tinatawag natin or itong mga individual na si Carrie Dan pati si Mary Dan, which are sisters. Okay? Pero matanda na sila. Ito pala sila, by the way. Mary Dan and si Carrie Dan. So itong pictures nila na to, it shows the background of the Western Shoshone territory. Makikita nyo dyan, may mga plants, they used to, yung lahi nila or yung, yung tribe nila, they used to utilize this territory as ancestral lands for their habitation and for their economic survival. So the thing is, Carrie Dan and Mary Dan, they have actually petitioned or raised this issue of this unhealthy industrial activities sa Supreme Court of the United States, hoping that the industrial activities would be stopped or unpermitted. But the thing is, when Mary Dan and Carrie Dan petitioned or raised this particular case to the Supreme Court found or para naghanap sila ng basis from these two women kung ano ba yung karapatan nila to protect or to at least call this land as their own. Because, again, pagka nag-own ka ng land, may it be you're part of an ancestry, you're part of a tribe, humihingi sa Supreme Court ng particular legal ownership documents or rights. Right? But the thing is, ayun nga, Carrie and Mary, yung family nila, they didn't own or they don't have that kind of legal basis to present towards the Supreme Court. And with that, they are on this what we call legal struggle to really fight for this ancestral land. I think the case is still ongoing up to this day. Kaya lang, natatenga siya talaga. Kasi wala talagang laban si Carrie pati si Mary Dan. But again, a lot of indigenous studies scholars and lawyers or IP lawyers are making their way or naghahanap sila ng solution to really fight for or to strengthen the claims of Carrie and Mary Dan. So this is a contemporary issue that you could look into because it is very interesting. It's more on the legal struggle and legal issue on land ownership. So there are more cases indicated in the readings, but I won't delve on them that much na, or I won't tackle them. So you could just do your research on them. Pero ito lang yung ginamit ko na example kasi I think this is the more relevant or the more sabihin nating relatable case for a lot of Native Americans in America. Right. Let's now proceed to the civil rights of Native Americans. Okay, so when you speak of civil rights of Native Americans, what you should take note is that, again, we are looking at the US Constitution. Okay? So the US Constitution, before it was revised or amended into what it is now, ang huli nilang version ng Constitution was the 1787 Constitution. So that is a long lip. Meaning, marami na nangyari in the 1700s, in the 1800s, 1900s that are sabihin nating that really manifested or changed over time kasi syempre ang socio-political issues naman or burdens experienced by people, they evolve over time. So let's now do a comparison. Paano ba nagbago or ano ba yung naging prioritization or lack of attention ng 1787 Constitution ng US versus dun sa present Constitution na meron sila. Okay, so ito yung areas of comparison natin. Take a look of this. So, citizenship and self-determination, economic decisions, treaty and policy powers. Okay? So, dyan tayo magre-revolve around. So, itong citizenship, itong self-determination pala, we tackled that earlier on. So, meron na kayong idea. Pero itong economic decisions, it falls importantly because again, in terms of trade, in terms of education, opportunities in livelihood, in being employed, dyan nagkakatalo or dyan to take part yung economic decisions. And lastly, the treaty and policy powers, meaning paano ba nagpo-function, paano ba nag-survive yung mga tribal councils at present with their own decision making. Right. So let's start with the citizenship and self-determination. So in the 1787 Constitution, this particular version of the US Constitution barely addressed the Native American rights directly. Meaning, wala talaga siyang prioritization. O hindi naman wala. Siguro, little. There is little prioritization or highlight of the Native Americans. Okay? So, yung mga Native Americans dati, under the 1787 Constitution, they were considered to be semi-sovereign entities. Meaning, pag sinabi natin semi-sovereign entities is hati. Meaning, yung karapatan ng mga Native Americans is hati. 50% coming from the state, 50% coming from the tribal councils or groups. And the thing with that is maraming legal complications that comes with that reality. Kasi ang inihingi lang naman ng mga Native Americans is for them to have their own sovereignty as tribal groups. But again, living in the same territory as the US government, pag sinabi natin US government, no, mas tinitignan ko siya back then as the whites lang. Kasi believe it or not, mas meron talagang dichotomy or meron talagang barrier between the Native Americans and the white Americans back then. So the problem with that is that when it comes to legal implications of war, when it comes to sabihin nating national attacks coming from other countries, pagka nagkaroon ng problema with the Native Americans, like wag naman sana mangyari, like pagka nabomba sila or nabaril sila, syempre, hati din yung makukuha nilang benefits coming from the US government. And that itself shows na talo talaga yung mga Native Americans. Right? And that goes the same way sa citizenship. Because again, pagka isa kang semi-sovereign entity or yung isang grupo or tribe ninyo ay semi-sovereign entity, is hindi kayo ma-recognize by other countries as pure citizen of America. Right? And that comes in with, well, again, with a lot of economic and social disadvantage. Second, Native Americans were not considered U.S. citizens under the original Constitution or the 1787 Constitution. They were viewed as members of separate nations or tribes. Their legal and political status was ambiguous and varied from state to state. So again, hindi sila considered as US citizens, but rather just a citizen or member of their own tribe. Again, mali ako. Not citizen. Member of their tribe. Di naman kasi citizenship ang meron ang isang tribe. Right? But rather just a membership. Right? Versus the present US Constitution. So nagkaroon ng amendment on the part of citizenship vis-a-vis Native Americans back in 1868. So that is the citizenship and the 14th Amendment that happened in 1868. Compared to the 1787, you would see how far, no, they've waited para lang magkaroon ng naturalization of citizenship yung mga Native Americans. Imagine, yun sa almost 120 years na yan, a lot of Native Americans were recognized as citizens of America. So imagine, paano nagkaroon or paano ba nila pinractice yung traveling at the same time yung yung paglipad or pag-alis from one country to another without actually being affected by this reality. Right. But I'm not sure. I think wala pa naman atang airplanes at this time. So hindi pa problema sa kanila yung migration, no? Pero again, at the end of the day, citizenship is still a very important matter. So initially, in the 14th Amendment na nangyari sa Constitution ng US, which happened in 1668, this granted citizenship to all persons born and or naturalized in the United States. But it did not include Native Americans who were considered citizens of their tribes. So dito na pumapasok yung parang pagiging sabihin nating selective or pagiging restrictive ng present US Constitution back in 1868. Because again, kung titignan mo dito, it did not, yung particular naturalization of being a citizen in America, hindi nga nag-include nung mga citizens or nung mga Native Americans who were purely under the jurisdiction or sovereignty of their tribes. Okay? Kumbaga parang kailangan i-give up mo muna sa US government yung actual sovereignty and determination mo as a Native American for you to have that pure or full citizenship. Okay? And the thing is, napaka-personal nun. Because again, why would you surrender your original or legitimate citizenship or identity to the government para yung social contract theory, no? And you have to give up your rights, your liberties, freedom towards the government, and they will provide you benefits and interest. So next, in 1924, dito na nagkaroon ng very good or huge development ang United States of America. Nagkaroon sila ng tinatawag natin na Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. Again, there is a huge gap of time or years from 1868 to 1924. Kasi itong particular act na to, it granted full US citizenship to all Native Americans. Take note, full citizenship, right? Aligning their status with that of other Americans under the 14th Amendment. So meron ng equal opportunities of citizenship between the non-Native Americans versus the Native Americans. And that is a huge development or progress lalo sa mga Native Americans or Indians natin. Right? Next, economic decisions naman tayo based on the 1787 Constitution. So based on the Article 1 or Section 8 of the 1787 Constitution, pinapermit nito yung Congress to make all laws pertaining to Indian trade. So as you can see in this particular phrase, the Congress shall have power to regulate commerce with foreign nations among several states and with the Indian tribes. Congress expands its powers and duties beyond the Indian trade, enacting other laws, including regulation of treaty, making and the sale of Indian lands that affect the tribes. So, ang pinaka-gist lang nitong Article 1, Section 8 ng 1787 US Constitutions that refers to the economic decisions is that any transaction of any tribes, any native tribes in America would have to go through or kukuha muna sila ng clearance or magbibigay sila ng tax sa US government. Alright? And here's the thing. The Congress should have a full autonomy over Indian or American, Native American businesses. So, yung mga pag-control nila when it comes to VAT, yung mga ganyan. Wala pa namang VAT nun, pero, yung mga particular, mga particular monetary adjustments, prices, and of course, dissemination of market, it can only be controlled purely by the US government. At hindi full autonomy ang meron ang mga tribes or yung mga tribal council. Versus the present US Constitution, which states that Native American tribes retain a degree of economic sovereignty, allowing them to regulate trade and commerce within their own lands. So ito naman sa may present Constitution, yung mga Native Americans, they have the full autonomy already to whom, what country, what race can they transact business and economic transactions with. Okay? So this includes the ability to create laws, growing businesses. So kung saan nila gustong mag-establish ng businesses. Kasi usually class, ang mga Native Americans, ang mga business nila, ang involvement niyan ay mga garments or yung mga tribal made products o mga goods. Minsan, nagbebenta rin sila ng mga fishes, horticulture, plants, or whatsoever. No? So, at present, makakita kayo ng mga pagka sa mga flea market o sa mga booths in New York or in California, sa mga public markets nila may mga mga small stalls of businesses that are owned by Native Americans. Parang it both represent yung socio-cultural and ancestral domain nila, but also it helps them as a community kasi may economic sila dyan economic benefit from their actual income. Right? So, yung mga growing of businesses, pati yung taxation and other economic activities on the tribal territory, it's all technically controlled by their own or by the Native Americans na. Right? Unlike the 1787 Constitution from this article and section which really shows na wala silang full autonomy rather. So, tribes can engage in trade not only with non-native entities but also between other tribes. Okay? Okay, lastly, we have the treaty and policy powers. Okay. So the federal government, through the president with Senate approval, held the power to make treaties with Native American tribes, implying some recognition of their semi-sovereignty. Okay, so when you speak of semi-sovereignty, again, we're talking about the policies, the laws that are in place within the tribes. So during 1787, or during the actual existence or compliance of the Native Americans with the 1787 Constitution, everything that they create as a tribal group back then were all consolidated and no, they were all let's say consented by the US government. So pinapa-approve pa nila yan before it gets consented. So with that, mahaba yung nangyayaring process of implementation of policy and rules within the tribal council back then. Kasi dumadaan pa yan sa Senate, no? With the actual signature of the president. And the problem is, during this time, yung mga presidents that are actually handling or governing the United States, most of them are, of course, pro-white people. They did not really care much of the actual, let's say, status of the Native Americans. Okay? Next, vis-a-vis the present U.S. Constitution, so U.S. policy has shifted towards supporting Native American self-determination. So in the present U.S. Constitution, hinahayaan na ng president, at the same time the three branches, may it be the may it be the Congress, for the Native American tribes or the tribal councils to have their own Native American determination. Meaning, they have their own set of rules, laws, practices that shape or differentiate each tribe from their own. Right? But that does not exclude the Native Americans from the white Americans. Kasi pwede pa rin naman magkaroon ng involvement, of course, ng relationship ang mga Native Americans sa mga white Americans kahit sa mga schools, sa trabaho, and whatsoever. So, this includes empowering tribes to govern themselves and manage their own affairs without undue interference from the federal government. So, take note, the non-interference or intervention by the federal government has set a huge difference for the tribal groups in America to really function freely on their own. Right? So, as you can see, in a nutshell, the 1787 and the present US Constitution have come a long way from each other. No? A huge difference. But what you should take note from these areas of comparison, like citizenship and self-determination, economic decisions, treaty and policy powers, these things, they may be encompassing in the most or the largest parts of the lives of Native Americans. But again, the reality is the fight or the actual battle for the rights of Native Americans is still ongoing. Or marami pa ring mga Native Americans that lack a lot of economic, political, and social opportunities at present. And again, the Constitution evolves, no? Like the Philippines na sobrang stagnant. So yung US Constitution, it evolves. Marami namang mga no, amendments that happens on different articles or bylaws within its actual content. And again, marami pa namang room for opportunity that may come in or come out in the future. Right. Let's now talk further about civil society groups, which is a perfect representation by the American Indian Movement or AIM or AIM. So ano ba tong AIM or AIM na to? Yan sila. Alright, so the AIM or the AIM is considered to be the most influential or the largest American Indian movement in the United States of America. It is still active in the present day. It's just that they don't wear so much of like this anymore. More modern clothing na. So the American Indian movement is technically again it's the largest non-government group in where they embrace the solidarity between American Indians, culture, heritage, and of course political and civil rights. So the Native Americans asserting sovereignty are not seeking a fair share in American society, but rather declaring the existence of a separate domain or pagkakaroon ng self-determination and identity ng mga Indian American or Native Americans. Okay, so at present, the American Indian movement is still a proactive collective group or movement. Ang difference lang ay nag-evolve na yung mga pinaglalaban nilang mga karapatan. Pero ang pinaka-highlight talaga, it's more of giving sovereignty for the Native Americans for them to establish their own rules, identity, or whatsoever. Although kung babalik naman tayo dito sa may US Constitution, nabigyan naman na daw ng self-determination yung mga Native Americans. Pero sabi ko nga kanina, there is still a lot of lapses or shortcomings when with the self-determination that is defined here is practice in reality. Because again, pagka tumingin ka sa tumingin ka sa reality ng US, marami pa ring mga Native Americans that are uneducated. Maraming hindi nakaka-attend ng private schools, ng mga big schools like Harvard, like Columbia University, like Cornell University, tas yung mga state universities in New York, for the reason that meron pa ring secluded approach when it comes to Native Americans. Some of them are treated like inferior, less intelligent, and whatsoever. And with that, that affects yung parang general activities and choices ng mga Native Americans. Siyempre, pagka merong discrimination, merong sabihin nating favoritism yung mga institutions and employers on who they will hire, that really affects the overall opportunities imbibed with the Native Americans. Okay? So in the mid-1970s, nag-effort yung AIM to really center a type of prevention of resource exploitation of native lands. Meaning, very similar to sa may case nila Mary and Carrie Dunn. Babalik tayo dito. In where, of course, they wanted to protect the Western Shoshone territory. It's just that they lacked evidentiary support or legal support on how they could fight for their ownership towards the Western Shoshone territory. And given that, ano pa ba, another consideration kasi is, again, maraming kino-cover na states itong Western Shoshone, like Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Arizona, and California. And as you know, may independent government, state governments na tong mga states na to, which is really, of course, different from each other. That could really be a huge factor bakit hindi mabigay or hindi mapaglaban itong territory na to that is quote-unquote owned by the tribe of Mary and Carrie Dunn. Alright, so going back, so similar to the advocacy of the American Indian movement, sila din, they are trying to protect or conserve the ancestral lands of the Native Americans in America. So marami kasing ancestral lands in America, but mostly nagpo-fall sila dun sa mga rural spaces in America. Like diyan pumapasok yung Long Island, diyan pumapasok yung Texas, yung Wyoming, yung Idaho. So marami silang tine-target diyan na protektahan kasi nag-industrialize na tong mga lugar na to kasi nag-shift sila into an urban center. So what nangyayari, of course, maraming mga lupa na napapabayaan, maraming mga natural resources like rivers, plants, trees that are being cut down because of this quote-unquote developments. So many of its leaders are in prison. So similar to the Philippines, they have a lot of political prisoners. Kasi yung mga activists or members ng AIM, they are really aggressive when it comes to fighting for the rights of the Native Americans. Kaya they go to the White House, they visit the Supreme Court of the United States to really fight for their lands. Ayan, nag-iiwan pa nga sila ng mga ganito eh. I wouldn't call it vandalism because it's not. Kasi technically, they are very reasonable on what they are fighting for. It's not good to put it or quote it as vandalism. So, ayun nga. So, most of their leaders are in prison or yung iba naman, they are fought harmful by the US Army or the US Police, which is a common thing that happens in that happens in any country that has an existing social movement. So the national leadership disbanded in 1978. As mentioned, nagpo-function pa rin naman sila in person, kaya lang hindi na ganun ka-active or hindi na sila ganun ka-evidently fighting when it comes to their advocacies. Kasi, I don't know, there were a lot of factors eh. Marami nang namatay na members or parang yung mga dating members na part of this tribe na sobrang active, hindi na active ngayon kasi parang obsolete or konti na lang sila. So, ganun mga factors. And also, I think, less na ngayon ng Native American tribes compared to the 80s and the 70s. Kasi nagkaroon nga ng mga amendments or changes when it comes to their Native American rights in the Constitution. Right. So, is sovereignty revolutionary or traditional? So, this is a good question. No? Revolutionary ba siya or should it be traditional? So, that's room for debate. But according to the readings and in my own interpretation, I think sovereignty is revolutionary. In the case that, again, kung babalik tayo sa reality or fact that Native Americans are slowly being erased or being disqualified in the American or the contemporary American society, it shows na pagka nawawala ng prioritization over these minorities or group of people, there can be a consequence na ma-erase na sila permanently in history. No, not in history, but rather in the society of a certain country. Because again, if there were no movements like the AIM or individuals like Mary and Carrie Dunn, I mean, who would be there to really symbolize or fight for the rights of their groups? I mean, no one. Because again, these are people, these are people who have first-hand experienced the incompetencies and the lack of prioritization of the US government towards their actual group of people. And with that, they are the reasonable people to also negate or to also, fight for those inconsistencies practiced by their national government. Right? So it is revolutionary because if there is no social movement, there is no, sabihin nating involvement of action by people, sovereignty wouldn't be given. And again, if we were to go back in the comparison of 1787 and the present US Constitution, these amendments that you can see here, like the 14th Amendment from the 1868 and the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, and these things, this wouldn't be possible if there are no social movements and there are no activism involved along the process. Because if there will be no one to pressure, there will be no action to move. Okay? Let's now delve further on the tribal councils of Native Americans. So kanina, na-discuss naman natin na yung what is a tribal council, right? So let's just wrap it up kung ano ba talaga yung pinakaano niya. Kasi the tribal council serves like the individual or the separate government of Native Americans, no? On their own. Kasi marami nga tayong types or kinds of um, tribes. Di pala siya types or kinds. Parang, ano ba? Variants pala. Variants of tribes that exist in America. Right? Okay, so historically speaking, nagkaroon naman ng movements or ng developments when it comes to the past US presidents that handled the issue of Native Americans. Okay? So US President Franklin Roosevelt established what we call the New Deal administration. So this is very historical class. Bakit? Kasi si Franklin Roosevelt, he is considered to be ano ba, the first person to act upon the rights of the tribal councils or the Native Americans. Itong New Deal administration na to, it's to basically set foot kung ano ba yung magiging role, limitations, and scopes ng US government vis-a-vis the tribal councils in the US. So, he set to restructure the Native American communities into elected corporate political structures through the tribal councils. Meaning, nagkaroon ng election cycles, nagkaroon ng voting cycles, yung mga tribal councils when it comes to setting the leaders or the members of the council. Pero the thing is, class, itong New Deal administration ni Roosevelt wasn't sufficient or wasn't as free as it may sound. No? Kasi, ang gusto lang naman i-point out ni Roosevelt dito is that there should be sufficient authority in the tribal councils to maintain order within the tribe, while denying these councils any authority beyond the territory that was reserved for them. So, ang point dito ni Roosevelt is that there would be a certain group of people from the Supreme Court, from the executive level of government or body of government that would have an intervention on who will sit as the tribal leader. So may voting power sila doon. The problem is, ayun nga, parang pinupush nila dito, it's to maintain order, it's to maintain control. Kaya lang, hindi pa rin nasa-serve or nabibigay yung full self-determination, pati sabihin natin self-rights that should be reserved for the tribes in America. Right? So at the end of the day, they are still supervised. They could still be controlled by the US government. At hindi pa rin talaga na-attain yung self-determination that the AIM and the other Native American groups were pushing for. Lastly, in relation to the Roosevelt New Deal administration, it would be the Indian Reorganization Act or the IRA or IRA. So this particular act was utilized by Roosevelt administration to gain organized control over political structure and command of Native American tribes. Kumbaga, correlated yan. Under the New Deal administration, ito yung in-implement na actual act towards the tribal councils. Kumbaga, yung ginawa niyang intervention dun sa mga tribal councils, it was legalized, no? Because of the Indian Reorganization Act. Okay? Alright, so just to sum up the whole lesson, I guess I want you to reflect on about how the European colonization as a starting point have really intervened within the whole landscape of the Native Americans' political and governance structure. Next to that is, of course, going to the reality that uh, the 1787 Constitution has contained a lot of failures or weaknesses when it comes to really prioritizing the rights and the legal capacities of legal, civil, and social capacities of the Native Americans in the society. And of course, how has it evolved, no? Into the administration of Roosevelt, in where, of course, he had the New Deal administration together with the Indian Reorganization Act. Was it something of a change that was sufficient for the Native Americans, or it was just like, I don't know, it's like palamuti, or it's like parang ano lang, parang pampagandang pangalan lang, in where they tried to reorganize or to give more authority towards the Native Americans, but at the end of the day, they were still controlled. And of course, at present, ano ba yung mga linking variables of weaknesses that manifest within the uh, US Constitution? So that would be all, class. I hope you learned something from uh, this particular lesson. Syempre, I want you to also absorb some of the information that weren't discussed here on this lesson, no? Um, Lalo dito sa pinaka readings na meron from Salisbury and Derico. But again, you can do your own external research on about the Native Americans and their indigenous rights in the US. Right? So after this lecture, I'll probably have you answer an assessment face to face, no? Involving the or covering the readings by Salisbury and Derico and this particular lecture. So that would be on our next meeting. Right? So thank you for listening and have a great day or a splendid day, night, or afternoon, whatever time you are watching this lecture. Bye bye.